senior NFL insider for ESPN, Michigan man, who might know a little bit more on the behind the scenes on how we got here, Adam Schefter.
Yeah, Shefty.
What's going on, Shefty?
Gentlemen, what's going on?
God, you look great. Where you go? You heading to the gym, coming back from the gym, about to go buy a gym? What do you got going on?
I'm headed to Bristol, Connecticut for 2 days of the Fantasy Football Marathon. I'm on my way up there right now, and it's been a nice, quiet morning.
Yeah, nice, quiet morning. Starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns has been named Deshaun Watson. There was an original thought by me on this particular program. As soon as I heard that there was competition between Schefter and Deshaun, and this was him coming back from recovery, obviously, of the ACL, I say, if Deshaun Watson can stand up and take a snap on a football field, they're going to put him on there because $230 million. Debo made a great point, as I agree with him. It felt like Monken was given the free rein to pick whoever he thinks is best for his team, as opposed to just who's getting paid the most amount of money. At what point do you think he figured out Deshaun Watson was the starting quarterback, and how did we get here, if you will, Shefty?
Well, I think there are a few things to factor into this quarterback decision that the Browns have announced with Deshaun Watson as their starting quarterback. I think we've been on this show. I know I've talked about it before, or maybe with Ty on the podcast, but it has always felt like it was trending towards Deshaun Watson as a veteran with 2 games on the road to start the season, Jacksonville, Tampa. Now, again, even with Saturday's events where Deshaun Watson did not play well, where he talked about how the fans were disrespectful, he didn't appreciate the boos, and his post-game press conference, which obviously did not play over well anywhere, you have a situation where basically it always felt like it was trending towards the veteran. And when they name Deshaun Watson as the starting quarterback, they name him for now. I think that's the key point to raise here. Is Deshaun Watson going to wind up starting more games than Shedeur Sanders this season? I'm skeptical of that. It's up to him and how he performs in the first 2 games. If he plays well the first 2 weeks on the road, he'll continue to be the quarterback. If not, I believe there's a realistic chance that for their home opener, Shedeur Sanders is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. That'll be up to Deshaun and how he plays in the first 2 games of the season. Beyond that, when we talk about the money involved, they're married to Deshaun Watson. For better or worse, they don't have a choice. The money in my mind has cemented the fact that he's going to be there now, and I would guess next year. If they had released him today, they would have had to eat $41 million against the cap this year and taken a dead hit next year of $86.21 million, one of the largest dead hits in the history of the NFL. So they're stuck with Deshaun Watson. This is a product of restructuring his contract over and over, taking a bad contract and complicating it. So you have all those factors going on that play into this. In the end, Todd Monken felt like a veteran on the road is this team's best chance to have a successful start. We'll see whether that's right. But I feel like they felt like they're paying the guy the money. He's a veteran. He's looked pretty good this summer. And we're going to give him the call out of the gate and go from there.
Okay, he's looked pretty good. I mean, you got to say, yeah, the numbers ain't bad, but he's looked pretty good.
He had
that one day in practice where he threw
7
7
touchdowns. He's getting into paint. Okay, so we're just obviously mocking the Browns fans right now. But if this ends up working, we love the dog pound. They know we've had their little elf in here. I mean, we like the Browns and the dog pound and the elfie and everything they got going on. But if Todd Monken really thinks that Deshaun Watson is his guy to win games, that's why he made the decision, I think. And you could hear in his voice, Todd Monken's been yelling at everybody around him.
Yeah,
So
a lot.
Hopefully Deshaun's able to have success inside that Todd Monken offense, and hopefully they're able to win some games, and this all gets quiet by then, if that happens. Now, if he is ass, and Shedeur gets in there, and let's say something happens with Shedeur, and then he put Dylan Gabriel in, and it becomes a whole entire situation, there is a built-in poison pill, says Spotrac. If he's on the roster next March 13th, a $200 million salary guarantee kicks in. This affords Cleveland the opportunity to designate him a post-6-1 release before March 13th, which splits the remaining dead cap into two. We saw this with the Russell Wilson situation over in Denver, 34.6 in 2027, 51.5 in 2028, which obviously we don't know what the salary caps are going to officially be for those years. Still a shit ton of money to not be able to have access to. Denver Broncos were able to navigate it. Now, they didn't win a Super Bowl, but they were able to navigate and still have a winning team. Sean Payton was able to build it. We'll see if this happens with Deshaun Watson. Okay, let's pivot away from Cleveland. Let's go to the opposite side of the country. Well, I guess Ohio and San Francisco right now kind of tied together by one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, true.
Yeah, you're right.
Hand in hand.
But let's go to the Niners. George Kittle, he's playing, huh? George Kittle's going to end up playing, and how abnormal is this from where we were maybe 3 or 4 months ago talking about George Kittle?
Well, let's go back to last week because they were in Los Angeles for a joint scrimmage with the Chargers. And while they were there on Wednesday, George Kittle got a chance to go meet with the surgeon who performed the surgery on his torn Achilles, Dr. Neil Elitrash. And from what I understand, it was a great meeting. George Kittle was ahead on all markers. He's in a great spot. This doesn't mean ultimately that he will play week 1, but everything looks right now to be trending in the direction. He received a favorable report from Dr. Elitrash. The Niners officially activated him yesterday. So the fact that the doctor seems to have been good with where he's at right now, and they've activated him, and that game in Australia, I believe, is 2 weeks from Thursday night in the United States, and George Kittle is who he is, it feels like he's tracking to play. Now, they could decide, you know what, didn't feel right in practice. We're not going to activate him the first week. We're going to give him an extra 10 days. But the way it's tracking right now makes it look like a distinct possibility that he's going to be on that field for that opening game against the Rams, which would be a very quick recovery from a torn Achilles. But right now, I think he's very pleased with where he's at. The doctor's pleased with where he's at, and the Niners are pleased with where he's at.
All right, let's stay with the doctor stuff. We were very scared this weekend that something absolutely catastrophic happened to one of the best backs in the game. Go ahead, Tone.
Yeah, Schefter, not good news coming out of Raiders camp, especially yesterday. It sounded very, very serious, the injury to running back Ashton Jeanty. And then this morning we got some news that maybe it's just an ankle injury. What's the latest on there? And is it the kind of best case scenario after what we thought could have potentially happened this weekend?
I think, Tone, that's exactly it. It is best case scenario. Now, again, as it was described to me, it's not nothing. It's definitely something still. And they'll have to see how much time he's going to miss. But the initial reports were he was helped off the field, couldn't put any pressure on his leg, team gathered up in a huddle, like all the things that you don't want to hear that would seem to indicate that something is severely wrong or at play in this particular situation. And obviously, there was panic across social media. The Raiders, former high draft pick, people doing their fantasy drafts, they don't know what to make of it.
Huge.
But in the end, I think the Raiders, for a couple of hours, were holding their breath when he was going to meet with doctors. And by the time he got done with those examinations, my understanding is it's a sprained ankle. I don't know if he's going to miss any time. I don't know if they know if he's going to miss any time. They're waiting to see that. But it's certainly not a long-term injury. That we know.
Okay, that's great news. And not just fantasy football people who we know you're heading to a fantasy football marathon over the next 2 days. Just fans of football. Ashton Jeanty last year, what he was and what his career started looking like. We hope he is healthy. We hope he is able to, maybe go with the best Raiders team they've had in a long ass time. There's still one quarterback competition looming. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Shefty, how do you think everything's going to end up playing out in Atlanta? We saw that Michael Penix has been cleared to, resume 11-on-11 activity. Tua obviously hasn't been great. He's admitted that so far this preseason. And Jack Strand is kind of, every opportunity he's getting, he's kind of looked great. So what is the plan in Atlanta right now? Is it still kind of wide open for potentially any three of those guys?
Well, it's an interesting situation because obviously it felt like Tua had a real window and a real opportunity to kind of put away the starting job on opening day for Atlanta. And it feels like that hasn't necessarily happened yet. And in the interim, Michael Penix now has been cleared to participate for the first time since he injured his knee in 11 on 11 drills. Today will be his first day in 11 on 11. As we mentioned, the regular season for the Falcons is just over 3 weeks away. And it's a situation where it gives him time to begin to get acclimated. They can judge how healthy he is or isn't and figure out whether or not he's physically ready to play on opening day. But Tua hasn't run away with that competition. It's been an uneven summer for him so far. And Jack Strand's been very impressive so far. But it's hard to imagine that Jack Strand's going to be the Falcons' opening day starting.
Okay, it is hard to imagine. Okay, I understand. I was there watching this guy. Okay, first of all, I didn't. Hold on, Schefter, please. You don't know anything. I was boots on the ground here. I don't need to hear your thoughts on Jack Strand, okay? I just saw the guy cook the Indianapolis Colts. First of all, had no idea Cooper Kush was starting for the Atlanta Falcons. Knew that was a problem as soon as I walked into the stadium and saw Kush lined up. Then this monster gets in, 6'5", 240 pounds. He scores here. He spikes this ball. It goes right into our suite. Okay, the next person to touch that football is my daughter, Mackenzie. Okay, she walks over, picks that ball out of our suite, gives it to ball guy back on that side. They demolished us. I mean, they crushed the Indianapolis Colts. This guy, though, huge, 6'5", 240, undrafted, went to Minnesota State Moorhead. I'm not talking about Moorhead State University. I'm talking about Minnesota State Moorhead, Moorhead. He was fourth in the Heisman voting for D2.
Beast.
How's that happen? Sure. I don't know. He's top 10 in passing all the time, has 126 touchdown passes to his name. I guess there was a bunch of D1 schools that wanted him to transfer. He said, no, I'm not that man. His father was a pastor. He had a 3.87 GPA in engineering physics.
What?
This guy was going to go to NASA.
Smart man.
We got another astronaut here. I mean, let's not put it past that man who almost spiked the ball into my daughter, okay, in Lucas Oil Stadium, maybe getting the gig. But back to your point, not reality. Jack Strand's going to be the starter for them. Is that what you're saying? Michael Penix seems like probably on track to be able to do so, or Tua can figure it out?
I think the moral of that whole story is that Mackenzie McAfee has a nose for the football. That's what I took away.
Yeah, I think that's 100% right. I think she didn't expect how heavy the Duke to be, though.
Sure.
She went to pick up the Duke, and that thing just fell right to her hands. I said, ball scored, his job scored. She picked that thing back up, hands it to the lad from Atlanta. It was an ass beating by the Falcons, I must say. But it was great to be back in Lucas Oil Stadium. Felt like real football was happening. Okay, so really no clarity on that one. Instead, Jack Strand and Cooper Kush might make that a real problem. I've seen them lead the Falcons with Stefanski. They beat the shit out of the team that they played with my own eyes.
Put in Strand.
I mean, Strand deserves
Might be
it.
Matt Ryan's guy. You can't put it past Matt Ryan to say, I got somebody.
Matt Ryan and this guy looking eye to eye to each other. And he going, hey, I'm an astronaut. They said you're an astronaut. I'm an actual one. I can move. They said you can move. Let's go. I could be a younger version of you. They wanted me to leave. I said, no, I'm loyal to the lads. Where'd you go? Minnesota State Moorhead till I die.
You know it.
And the guy goes, okay, all right, sweet. You come in. And he slices the Indianapolis Colts. Con Man has a question for you, Schefter.
Yeah, Schefter, we've had a lot of injuries in camp. We're kind of getting to that time where, teams are starting to form their 53. Which ones do you think are going to be the most active? The junior to your senior on Friday said, hey, maybe the Texans take a peek at Brandon Ayuk with the injury they had at wide receiver to Jaden Higgins. What teams for you are going to be probably making the most calls over these next couple weeks?
First of all, I think they're all making calls. I mean, that's the nature of the job right now and these teams, what they're doing. When you bring up Brandon Ayuk, he has not applied for reinstatement so far. So nothing can happen with Brandon Ayuk unless he applies for reinstatement, which we're on August 24th here, and he hasn't done that. So camp has been open for a month, close to a month, and Brandon Ayuk has been on the sideline. And honestly, you hope he's okay. Nobody exactly knows what's going on with him right now. But football, until he applies for reinstatement, wouldn't be in the cards. So I don't know that he's an option for anybody right now. As for some of these other notable free agents, Tyreek Hill is expected to play this offseason. We know that certain teams, have lots of depth at certain spots. Like the Patriots are very deep at wide receiver, right? So Kayshon Bouttie's out there. The Niners, actually, believe it or not, have some depth at wide receiver with some of the veterans, even with all the injuries they've had. So I think every team is going through the list. The Ravens are deep at the cornerback position. The Jets, believe it or not, have some depth at certain spots. I'm trying to think of the team that has extra running. Anyway, the point is, all these teams have certain spots where they're deeper than others, and teams are lighter than others. It's going to be an active period at this time. With, last night you see the Saints trade linebacker Deion Jones to the Niners for running back Zamir White. It's the kind of thing that goes on at this time of the year where teams have certain needs near the bottom of the roster. Dre Greenlaw hurt his hamstring last week. The Niners are light at linebacker. Deion Jones may not make the Saints roster, so they trade him. The Niners have extra running backs. The Saints have Alvin Kamara dealing with a MCL sprain that'll sideline him about a month. So they go and trade for a veteran NFL running back and Zamir White, who would have a tough time making the Niners roster. That's the kind of thing you see at this time of the year.
Okay, Dan Orlovsky just tweeted, who we'll talk to here in a matter of moments, says he's on the highway to Bristol as well, I think. He said, hey, why not Atlanta trade for Stetson Bennett? Bring that dog back to Georgia and have him run wild for Atlanta.
Okay, Dan.
Maybe a late-round pick. Let Stetson, because Stetson was, hey,
Holy
hell, he looked like Matthew Stafford, didn't he? I mean, Matty Stafford's giving the interview, and then Stetson's doing his best impression of him right up there. Two Georgia Bulldogs doing their thing for the Los Angeles Rams. He looked comfortable. After the game, he gave a speech to the locker room. The boys love him. Seems like he's been through everything he needs to be through to become a true pro. Sean McVay's offense seemingly can make a lot of people look good. Okay,
Yeah.
Tom Simpson looked very good. Now you got Stetson Bennett balling. Kevin Stefanski, they still got big question marks if it's not Jack Strand.
Yeah.
Maybe pull the trigger on a Stetson Bennett trade. What do you think about the dog going back home to the world of the Pines?
Well, I think the Rams are trying to decide right now who's going to be their number 2 quarterback, whether that's Stetson Bennett or Ty Simpson. Matthew Stafford's had a great summer, feels better physically than he did last summer at this time when everybody was wondering how his back was faring, and he wound up winning the NFL MVP. And the Rams are in a window where, like, even if you're going to trade Stetson Bennett now, are you getting Stetson Bennett on your team or getting back some late-round draft pick? And that's what they have to figure out here in the final 2 weeks before the final roster cut-down date on Sunday, August 30th. So if they feel like Bennett has any value to them, I would think that they'd want to hold on to. But if they feel like Ty Simpson's ready to be QB2 right now and be that responsible in the event that anything should happen to Stafford, then they go ahead and move him. If they're even interested, which I haven't heard that they are. I think the Falcons have enough quarterbacks right now. They're just trying to figure out their own situation.
They certainly do. Cooper Kush, too. Don't let him start knocking down the door. Last question here about Ty Simpson and, the Rams and Orlovsky. Well, that leads to one other guy. Go ahead, D.
Yeah, he's talking about the number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. It's been some bright spots in the preseason, obviously some bad spots as well. He's young. It's going to happen. But what's going on over there? I know kind of we all assume Kirk Cousins is going to start as the vet. I've kind of been on that train. Fernando Mendoza, I expect to see him week 1 as the starter. Where do you stand right now, what you know, with who's going to be trotting out that week 1 starter for the Raiders?
Look, we all know that Fernando Mendoza's time is coming. And the question is when. And I can just say that despite the fact that Mendoza has looked good in camp and been what they wanted and won the support of his team and the teammates love him and the kind of guy he is and the kind of leader he is, their plan, and plans change, but their plan is to start Kirk Cousins in week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. And their plan is to keep Kirk Cousins in there, especially during the early difficult part of the schedule. If you look at their schedule early in the season, it's challenging. And I think that they'd like to have Cousins out there to get through as many games as he can. And I think part of this is really on Kirk Cousins. If Kirk Cousins plays well, just like Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, if he plays well and they win some games, they'll keep rolling with him. If he's not playing well and they're not winning games and he's struggling, it's when all these calls and questions will come up as to when we'll see the number 1 overall pick in the draft, Fernando Mendoza. But in a perfect world for the Raiders, they want Cousins out there on opening day, and they'd like him out there for as much of the season as they can, and we'll see how long that turns out to be.
You're the man, ladies and gentlemen. Headed to a fantasy football marathon. Who's number 1 overall pick, man? Who's?
Jahmyr Gibbs, I think. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
All right.
And Bijan.
So running back is the thing? That's always been, right?
You gotta,
Yeah.
Gotta go
Gibbs and
running
Bijan.
backs
Those are
early.
the 2 guys. Those are 1-2.
Okay.
Those are 1-2. No particular order.
We still
Puka, Jamar right there after them, but 32 starting running backs, whereas some teams, you got 2 guys, 3 guys per team you can use.
Okay.
Like Puka's a great top pick, but they also have Devontae that you can get a couple rounds later.
All right, Schefter, good luck. I hope you get the best team ever and maybe have the best season yet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Adam Schefter.
Hey,